I traveled to the desert to meet an internet friend, and I didn't die. Hello, I'm your life coach, Jennifer Ho, and you're listening to And I Didn't Die, the podcast for quiet achievers, eldest daughters, and women who've always put others first. It is time for you to stop playing small, keeping quiet, and hiding. Your dream life is waiting on the other side of the scary actions you've been avoiding. Today, we're continuing the conversation about making friends as an adult. In the last episode, I shared how I used an app to get dinner with 5 strangers on a random Wednesday night. Well, as you know, I did that 5 times over 5 months, and I didn't die. But I have taken even bigger risks before. I once flew 750 miles to meet Reiko, a friend I originally met on the internet. She picked me up from the airport with her then boyfriend, who, by the way, she'd only known for a couple of months, and I stayed with them at his house for 3 days and 2 nights. Wild, right? Yeah, really wild. And obviously, I didn't die. And just 1.5 years after that trip, I ended up getting to attend their wedding in Bali. Anyway, in the last episode, I also shared my friend theory, something I return to again and again with coaching clients and in my own life. You get out of it what you put in, but you'll never know when it will be your turn to receive. The part we're going to focus on today is receiving. For those of us who are usually the ones holding it all together, this is the hardest part, especially if you're a quiet achiever, a high-functioning anxious person, or an eldest daughter. You might not even realize how uncomfortable you are being on the receiving end. Like, imagine, someone gives you a compliment and instead of saying thank you, you downplay it or explain it. A friend brings you a matcha latte just because, and you immediately feel the need to pay them back. Like, what is your Venmo? Let me pay you back. Or someone offers to help with a project, with you moving, anything, and you politely decline because you don't want to be a bother. Or you get a birthday gift and your first instinct is to say, you didn't have to do this. Or even just accepting a ride or someone else covering a meal for you feels really weird, like you're suddenly indebted to them. Or say you do accept help, but then you overcompensate the rest of the time to make up for it. As I said, imagine all these. I actually have memories of this. I get it. I am that person at times. And I know you're not trying to be difficult. You just don't want to be a burden. You don't want to impose. You'd rather be the one giving. But have you stopped to think about why you're like that? It's because it's more comfortable. One layer deeper, it's because it feels safer that way. You get to stay in the know, and you get to stay in control. Things go according to your plan, no surprises. But what that potentially creates is a dynamic where other people end up walking on eggshells around you. They don't know how to give to you, or they stop trying because giving to someone who cannot receive is simply not joyful or fulfilling. And a relationship where there is not reciprocity, there isn't some giving and receiving back and forth, not like transactions, but to actually be there for each other. When people pull away from you, you will become resentful of them because you feel like you can never lean on them. But to be able to do that, it takes both of you showing up and allowing the other to show up. So, back to the story. Reiko and I originally met online through our friend Ray, who I originally met through Cheryl, who I met on Clubhouse, the social media platform that is like live podcasting. It blew up during the pandemic and was so fun, although I don't use it anymore. Okay, but really back to the story now. It was not an immediate, I must be friends with her. In true introvert fashion, Reiko and I both quietly admired each other in the start. I was like, wow, Reiko's so badass and brave. And her words about me were, who is that pretty girl with a nice accent in the Zoom? I guess she has a thing for American accents, hence an American husband and an American bestie. Reiko, if you're listening, I love you, I miss you, and I will see you soon. As two online entrepreneurs, Reiko and I broke off from this group Zoom we were a part of, and we had one-on-one co-working sessions. And these sessions turned out to be equal parts yapping and working. We shared vulnerable stories and became each other's cheerleaders as we navigated business, travel, and family. We developed this beautiful long-distance friendship without having met each other in real life. But we definitely joked often about meeting. And while I was starting to plan a trip to Singapore to meet her, she met the love of her life. And it just so happens the love of her life was based in Arizona. Our joke became a reality because she was visiting Arizona, and that's barely a 2-hour flight away from me. So I booked it. I booked a flight to go to stay with someone that I had never met in person, and her partner, in the middle of the desert. What was I doing? I've always been pretty cautious with new people, especially when it comes to things like staying in someone's home. It's not something I do lightly. It was one thing to stay with Reiko, it's another to stay with her and her partner too. That Vietnamese mom voice in my head, who I lovingly refer to as the mothership to distinguish from my actual mom. That voice, the mothership, was just going off. You don't know these people. What if they kidnap you? Why do you have to fly somewhere just to make a friend? What if they kill you and bury you in the desert? Nobody would know. Jennifer, you don't even know how to fight. You think you can fight them if they try to kill you? Okay, Mom. Fair. But also, I trusted my gut and Reiko. And as much as the mothership was screaming, and although I was scared, a different part of me, the brave, open-hearted part, reminded me that people love to connect, and Reiko is my friend. And Reiko and her partner didn't have to spend any time with me. They easily could have prioritized their romantic relationship. Instead, they decided to invite and make space for me and host me. And they're damn good hosts. They picked me up from the airport. I had my own room, and the bed was really comfy, and the couch too, and they have a cute dog, and they fed me so well. Think gnocchi made from scratch, each piece individually shaped by hand. They also took me to Sedona and hiked at my snail pace with me, making sure I was okay. Somewhere between the homemade gnocchi and them putting up with my whining on the hike, I realized I didn't have to earn their care. They were just giving it freely. It was somewhat uncomfortable for me and also kind of healing. Because I'm used to being the hospitable one, the one to handle the plan and the logistics, the one to initiate, the one that when fed I make sure to do the dishes. That's what I'm most familiar with. But I got the sense that, oh, I don't actually have to be that all of the time. And since then, I've noticed it's gotten easier for me to accept help in other areas too, like letting friends do dishes for me or letting them speak up about their needs instead of trying to make sure every single thing is accounted for and accommodated without them asking. It's, it really, looking back, it's kind of a small thing to allow myself to actually be a guest in someone else's home and be taken care of. But with these people, they weren't necessarily family. Like, there's not that immediate, well, it's not even an immediate bond, right? Because family, still, you develop that closeness over time. And my longer term friends, I hadn't had that many opportunities to stay with them. I just had my absolute best friend who is like family, who I've known for a really long time. But yeah, to allow myself to be a guest and be taken care of by Reiko and her partner, it made a really big difference in how I give myself permission to receive. And I noticed by the end of this, I felt so much closer to them. And more importantly, rather than figuring out how to balance out our friendships as if every interaction was a transaction, I chose instead to trust that I would have the opportunity to reciprocate. And since then, I have had many opportunities, and she has as well. I traveled to Singapore to hang out with Reiko, and she invited me to stay with her and her parents there for 5 weeks. And then early 2024, she came to California with her parents, and I got the chance to drive out to meet them and drive them around San Francisco. And a little over a year ago, I also traveled to Bali for Reiko's wedding, and this year I know I'll get my chance to host her at my place. This is something I remind my clients all the time. Reciprocity doesn't just mean matching someone's effort. It also means making space for someone else to show up for you in the present and in the future. So if you've been saying you want more meaningful friendships, ask yourself, are you actually giving people a chance to show up for you? Are you letting them in when they try to care for you? Are you receptive and allowing yourself to receive friendship? Or are you keeping your walls up, even if it's subtle? That's how you might be pushing people away without meaning to. I get that you want to protect your peace, but if you protect your peace too hard, the only version of peace you'll know is the one where you are by yourself. You don't have to knock down all of your walls at once, but you can practice letting your guard down just a little. You can practice accepting help, practice saying yes, practice being loved in the way that it's offered to you, not just in the way you're comfortable with. And yeah, I did that by flying 750 miles to meet an internet friend. If you've been thinking about taking a brave step towards making friends, whether it's joining a dinner with strangers or visiting someone you only know online, I hope this gives you a little nudge. Your brave step can be as simple as replying to someone's story, saying yes to a coffee, or being the one to ask if someone wants to hang out. And if you want support creating deeper connections in your life, I can help. In coaching, we can figure out what aligned friendships and relationships look like for you and how to create them while playing to your strengths. And we'll figure out your action plan. You can visit my website, byjenniferho.com, to book a discovery call or find the link in the show notes. I would love to hear how you've approached making friends as an adult, or how hearing about my experience today gave you some courage to take your next step towards your dream friends in your dream life. Send me a DM or leave a comment on this episode. I really, really want to hear your stories, and I will talk to you again soon.